Why did Netflix defeat Blockbuster? Why is Tata becoming the leader in India's electric car market? The answer is competition, but not just direct competition. To really understand it, we use Porter's five forces. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how this simple framework explains why some companies thrive and the others fail, using Netflix and Tata as examples. So, what exactly is Porter's five forces? It's a tool created by Michael Porter to analyze industry structure and profitability. The logic is simple. The more competitive pressures a company faces, the harder it is to make money. The five forces are rivalry among existing competitors, threat of new entrants, bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of buyers, and the threat of substitutes. Think of it as a lens that helps us scan the environment and predict if a company can sustain profit. A exam tip. In a 10-mark question, start with a definition, 1 to 2 lines. Then briefly list the five forces before you go deeper and link it with the case study. The first force we have is rivalry among competitors. Netflix doesn't operate in isolation. It faces intense competition from Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and regional players like Hotstar in India. High rivalry usually means price war, heavy spending on content, and shorter customer loyalty. Price war indicates that one company may reduce the price in order to win over the market as opposed to the competition. For example, Netflix spends billions every year to create exclusive shows just to hold on to subscribers. In India, Disney plus Hotstar secured cricket streaming rights to compete with the same audience. Exam hack. When you get this question in an exam, always begin with the definition. After that, when you focus on force 1, stick to this line. High rivalry leads to lower profitability. For example, Netflix versus Disney. So when you write about this force, the focus of the slide should be high rivalry leads to lower profitability. Always mention how two competitors will lead to lower profitability. The key point is that when rivalry is fierce, profits are squeezed. So the companies must innovate constantly just to survive. The second force we will be looking at is threat of new entrants. Could a new company easily enter the market and challenge Netflix? The answer is no. In streaming, barriers are very high. You will need servers, global distribution networks, and advanced technology. You need to pay high fees to license movies and TV shows. You must build a brand trusted by millions. That's why startups rarely succeed in the streaming market. The cost of entry is just too high. Think of Tata Motors as an alternative example. In the EV space, there are high entry barriers, including battery technology as well as research and development costs. The high entry barriers, namely the battery technology and R&D, protect Tata from too many newcomers in the market. The key lesson is that if entry barriers are low, profits get eaten by new competitors. If they are high, big players like Netflix or Tata, they can breathe easier. The exam hack is if the barriers to entry is high, the threat is low. Therefore, big brands like Netflix are protected. The third force we will be looking at is the bargaining power of the supplier. Suppliers in this example of streaming, are the people or the companies who provide inputs. For Netflix, suppliers are film studio, creator, and production houses. If they demand higher fees, Netflix costs will shoot up. For example, when Disney pulled its content to launch Disney Plus, Netflix lost a huge chunk of supply and had to invest heavily in originals. Whereas for Tata, suppliers are battery makers and chip manufacturers. Since these components are rare and costly, suppliers have high bargaining power. Tata can't simply switch to another supplier for their EV cars overnight. So, when suppliers are few and powerful, they control the terms and conditions. This reduces profitability for the company buying from them. Exam hack. We should stick to this idea that few suppliers who provide unique inputs will lead to higher supplier power. A good example would be the battery suppliers for Tata's electric vehicles. The fourth force we have is the bargaining power of the buyer. In most industries, customers hold some power, but the degree varies. For example, in Netflix, buyers have very high power because switching costs are almost zero. You can cancel Netflix today, subscribe to Amazon Prime tomorrow, and you lose nothing. This pushes Netflix to constantly add new shows, keep the prices competitive, and deliver high quality streaming. For Tata electronic vehicles, buyers are also powerful. Indian customers compare Tata's electronic vehicles with petrol, cars, scooters, and competitors like Mahindra. They are price sensitive and demand high value for money. The key takeaway is if buyers can easily switch or have many options, they hold the power, forcing companies to compete harder. An exam hack would be remember, low switching costs will lead to high buyer power. If the customers cannot switch over very easily, then the companies have power. Whereas if the switching costs are very low and they lose nothing, then the customers will have high buying power. The fifth force we are looking at is the threat of substitutes. A substitute is anything that solves the same problem in a different way. Netflix isn't just fighting Prime or Disney Plus. It's also fighting substitutes like YouTube, gaming platforms, TikTok, and even social media. All these compete for the same scarce resource, your time and your attention. When we look at Tata electronic vehicles example, the substitutes include petrol car, hybrids, and even public transport. If the substitutes are cheap and convenient, customers might avoid electronic vehicles. The lesson is the stronger the substitute, the harder it is for the company to lock in the customer. Because if you increase the price, customers know that they can always switch to another product. Exam hack. Remember this formula. More substitutes equals less loyalty, which equals lower profit. Now let's quickly do a recap of the Tata electronic vehicle market. Rivalry. Tata competes with Mahindra, MG, and global EV brands eyeing India. New entrants. Entry is tough because EVs require advanced tech and capital. Suppliers. Battery and chip makers are few and powerful, raising the costs. Buyers. Indian customers are very price sensitive, comparing electronic vehicles to petrol cars. Substitutes. Petrol and hybrid cars remain strong competitors. So, Tata operates in a challenging but protected market. Rivalry is rising, suppliers and buyers hold power, but the entry to barrier protect Tata from too many new entrants. Exam hack. In case studies, always map all the five forces to a company. Let's quickly summarize Porter's five forces. The five forces are rivalry, new entrants, suppliers, buyers, and substitutes. Each force either increases or decreases the pressure on a company. High pressure leads to low profits. Low pressure leads to higher profits, which gives the company more breathing space. If you understand these forces, you can analyze almost any industry from streaming to automobiles. Exam hack. Always end answers with therefore, Porter's model helps evaluate both threats and opportunities in an industry. When you end an answer in this way, it shows the examiner that you understand the purpose of this framework.